Welcome everyone to our webinar today, Coaching Business. Welcome to the Coaching Business Q&A we've got the fabulous Kathy McKenzie and Deidre Dattoli here from Fire Up Coaching. It's a registered training organisation that actually delivers a lot of online as well as in-person training. So welcome everyone to BWA. For those of you who don't know me, I am the National Director of Business Women Australia and a co-founder of Business Women Australia. I'm actually zooming in today from Perth. I've just come back from a fabulous trip to New South Wales. Very lucky to get in and out of the border, missing all the various lockdowns we've just had recently here, but also caught up with our fantastic community in Sydney. So that was a great opportunity. So for any of you who might have any questions afterwards or any ideas about Business Women Australia, my email is lynn@businesswomenaustralia.com.au. I love hearing about people's crazy ideas because my big word for this year is experimenting. Before we start our webinar, I'd like to acknowledge the country on which we're all meeting today. We're coming from all parts of the nation, from as far away as Toowoomba and as close as Perth and Bunbury up to, I think, Kununurra in Queensland. We've probably got some people popping in from Melbourne at some stage today as well. But I'm standing on the country of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. This is Indigenous land. It's sacred and sovereign, and it's been lived, danced and celebrated on from 60,000 to 120,000 continuous years. And we celebrate our Indigenous sisters in business. What I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about our vision and our mission. We've been a national brand of a community and a collective of female leaders that have really got together to really raise the visibility of women in business, and to look at ways that we can build opportunities that really power their success and help women in business achieve their goals and dreams. When we talk about women in business, we're not just talking about entrepreneurs and business owners, we're also talking about career women, entrepreneurs, women on boards and women in the C-suite. So it's a magical mix of women. And one of the wonderful things about this partnership that we're going to be talking about in today's webinar with Fire Up is that we're bringing together Australia's leading registered training organisation in terms of coaching and consulting skills with a community of business women who are already focused on these areas of development around leadership, business improvement, personal growth, influence and profile, and of course, connecting in a lot of ways at a professional level, but very much so at a friendship level as well. Siri's on. Thanks, Siri's joined us. It's always good to have Siri. Our values. When we sat together and decided as a group of women originally in WA that we wanted to make a national community, we got and spent about a half a day, nearly a full day, strategizing and developing what it was our shared values in terms of how we wanted to build the community. Inclusion and diversity is a really important part of what we're about. Everyone needs to feel welcome when they come and connect with us, when they come to any of our events, when they jump online. It's really important that we're authentically open. Courage and honesty is something that we all share. If we aren't looking at being honest and open to feedback and continuously improving, then we're not really being courageous in stepping up and pushing ourselves outside our comfort zone. Collaboration is the key to everything that we do. So we don't come up with, what's our program for the year, let's roll it out. We actually sit down with our premium level members and collaborate with them and co-create our program based on the knowledge that they want to share and that might have an impact on other women around the nation in terms of their business success and personal growth. Being open-minded, having that consciousness around how we care for ourselves and for each other is really important. And of course, the positive energy and the optimism that we like to bring together to the table in every way that we can around the communities that we impact in. So the benefits of being a part of this community, for those of you who have been thinking about getting involved with Business Women Australia, we'd love for you to actually step into our community, to develop those friendships, to enjoy the benefits like our free online events, our discounted in-person events. We do masterminds, roundtables, whatever it is that our members are suggesting we have a crack at, we do. So every year it looks a little bit different, but we have put on about 70 events, either online or in person, per annum. So there's plenty of choice. And of course, now that we've all experienced the wonderful opportunity that Zoom brings us, I'd say a good 50 or 60% are now online, and we're really attracting a lot of women from the rural and regional areas, which is awesome. And we couldn't do what we do without our collaborative partners. Torrens University have been marvellous in partnering with us for the last year. They have awarded us 2 free scholarships, 100% scholarships for women who have pitched. We've just closed our applications for the second round, and we'll be announcing that scholarship winner on the 21st of May. And in addition to the 100% scholarship, we've also been awarding 15% mini scholarships for women who don't make it to the 100%, but as a part of our community, it's a fantastic benefit. Catco Enterprises and Kathy Smith, her team look after our digital marketing, all our social media, solo accounts, and Donna Vincent, her team look after our invoicing, our accounts, dealing with our tax agents and so on. Intact Teams, the wonderful Jessica Schubert has developed our leadership program, Lead the Future. We're running that again. It's a short, intensive, and Jessica also heads up our relationship with Torrens University. So she's a key sponsor and partner of Business Women Australia. And my team in Hawkins Marketing sit in the background and help us with our events and the marketing of our program. So there's so much going on. When I looked at the May calendar, I was like, how did that happen? It's really indicative of the quality of the members that we have now collaborating with us, wanting to do things. And the spread that we've got, we've had women stepping up in places like Rockingham, which is south of Perth, Mandurah and Murray and Bunbury, to actually want to run in-person events as chapter leaders. And we have had others in Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, and the Sunshine Coast that have also put their hands up to try and get things sort of a bit of momentum there. It's a bit tricky at the moment with in-person events. We did have one in Mandurah that, or actually in South Perth last week, that we had to bring on as a virtual sundowner in the end. So, because we had that mini lockdown, so we've pushed that out. But everything that we do, we say, well, if it can't happen in person, we'll jump onto Zoom, but we will also push it out to another date if that happens. We just need to be nimble, I guess, with our events. In addition to today's event, obviously we've got online events there. For those of you who are interested in taking a side hustle to being a business, on the 20th of May, that'll be a really great online event. And on the 21st of May, we're actually announcing the scholarship winner for Torrens Uni. All our other events there are in person. We've also got loads of events coming up in June that are already on the calendar. So make sure you have a look at our Business Women Australia events page, scroll through the different months. If you are interested in being on our e-news or our e-alert, make sure you register either online or drop me your email details and we can add you to our updates directly to your inbox. For those ladies who might be listening to our recording in the next few weeks that are in Perth, we have an inspirational long table dinner. On Friday this week, we also have Joe Bradbury hosting in Brisbane a soiree, which is also featuring 3 Drops wines, which is also a part of the reason why we love Jo. She's one of our premium members who owns the 3 Drops vineyard and olive oils that come from this great southern region. They're just gorgeous, award-winning wines. And Jo is very active at organising a lot of our social events, and she's very happy to travel and do it. So if you know of anyone who would like to host maybe a corporate wine tasting, let us know, because Jo will build it into her travel plans. So we're watching very carefully that she'll be able to get to Brisbane for Friday. And of course, this on the 10th of June in Perth will be amazing with Sally Pilbeam. She's a Paralympian. She's been such an amazing athlete, a cyclist. She lost her arm to cancer years ago, and she has managed to achieve so many amazing things, juggling her commitment to her sports as an elite sportswoman, and as a mum. She's got a great story which she'll share with us in Perth. If you're in another area that has an idea about something like this, we'd love to hear what it is you'd like to do, or if you know of women who run restaurants or chefs and favourite places and businesses that you'd love to showcase, you know, with even wine and cheese, so that you bring other women to hear about them and experience their businesses. We love to support women. So we're actually running this one at Riki Kaspi's cooking school. And it'll be a great opportunity for everyone to experience the fabulous chef, Riki Kaspi, as well. So our memberships are amazing, really, in terms of the value for money. As a classic member and getting access to all our online events for free, our Torrens short courses are also available for free for all our members. It's only $299. If you're a leader and you're building your brand and you want visibility and you've got ideas and knowledge to share, then the premium level membership is what I'd suggest for you. And drop me a line about that, because I would love to hear what it is you're trying to achieve, and, you know, when's a good time to become a premium or to step up into that kind of premium role. But these short courses from Torrens University are phenomenal. There's 36, I think, of them. They're all available for free for our members. So they've been very generous in this partnership with Businesswomen Australia. I've actually sat on and done a few just to sort of see if how up to date they are, and they're like spot on. And all, of course, typically as a university evidence-based learning. We have a podcast, so we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast in whatever channel it is that you want. This is our on our website. We feature our premium level members on our podcast. We have anything ranging from looking at goal setting to dealing with multi-generational workplaces, how to amplify your voice in your industry. They're really realistic, pragmatic, sharing of information from women who know their stuff. So, you know, if you are keen on tapping into that kind of universe, or that kind of knowledge within the community, it's a good place to be. Of course, we're social. We have the most amazing Catco team and the Hawkins marketing team that are across both our social media channels. We have a LinkedIn group that's free for any businesswoman to join. So if you want to be a part of the LinkedIn group and share your articles, share events, maybe you've got an offer or you've got a question, it's a great place to play as a professional platform that LinkedIn is, but also follow our company page. Check us out on our website, especially our events page, and you can join as a member directly on our website as well. We have, I think, 9,500 followers on our Facebook page. We also have a private group for our financial members, our classics and our premiums. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we also have our hashtags that we use predominantly. Hashtag BWA Events and hashtag BWA Leaders are our two most used ones. So our events are very different. We haven't really got into the big conference and seminar space. We have a new member who won the MBA scholarship last year, Kylie Clark, who is a phenomenal events manager, who's got some big, hairy, audacious goals that she's wanting to think about after she's finished her MBA with BWA that might look more like some big online conferences that we might do. But up to this point, we really are focused on more of the small group kind of interactive opportunities, because we find that that's how women really do connect, and they really do get to meet more of each other and a greater number of people if it's a smaller group. It's funny that you walk into an event where there's 500 people and you might meet one or two people. You go into an event where there's 12 or 20 and you're more likely to meet about all of them. So what I'd like to do before I open up is just very quickly just go around the table and ask you to just say who you are and where you've come in from. So maybe Julie, if you can kick off.
Hi everyone, sorry about my boring background. I'm actually on secondment in Collie, Western Australia, which is transitioning from a mining town to tourism. And I'm on a contract here by the Department of Premier and Cabinet until the end of June. Last year, I took part in a coaching course with Adapt by Design, which is an up-and-coming design platform designed to, I guess, deep dive into businesses. And I've become a coach with being able to use their tool, which is the Adapt Foundations tool. And really excited. Once I finish this contract, I'm going to be based in Bunbury, but be able to work around all of the Southwest. And I currently work as a business advisor and have done for the last 3 years. Absolutely love it, but I don't want to do periphery advising anymore. I want to do the deep dive. So the coaching that I've trained in is going to allow me to do that. I'm really excited to connect with more of the coaching community. I don't have an accreditation yet in coaching. That takes 18 months with this particular platform I'm using, but I'm thinking of doing some other work, which is why I've logged on today. I used to be a member of BWA. I'm about to rejoin, as Lynn knows, because I now have got the time to be part of this wonderful community. Thank you.
Gorgeous. Thanks, Julie. It's lovely to have you here. And Katie Hurd.
Hello, everyone. Well, I guess my background's a little bit different in that I have been running my own successful retail travel business for many years, but 12 years particularly as travel managers. And as you all know, last year everything went a bit belly up for the travel industry. So I am still I've still got that running, but very quietly. And hopefully as things get better, I can sort of build that up again. But I'm also here in the role helping McKenzie with Fire Up. And while she's on her sort of trip around Australia, I'm assisting her with the relationship with BWA and a few other bits and pieces as well. So, but I'm loving what I'm hearing, and I'm sort of ticking things over in my mind about where you know that it could be, you know, a help to be as well. So, all good.
Excellent. We're loving being able to collaborate with you, Katie. It's great, and I think I love the diversity that's in the Fire Up team. You've got so many different professional and industry backgrounds, and it's very representative of what our community is like. We really are amazing collective. It's like we have women from so many different professions and backgrounds, and I think that really is what makes the magic. Okay, Jana, quick introduction, all the way from Toowoomba.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to duck out for a minute. My phone was ringing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so I'm Toowoomba, heavy background in accounting, have run my own business up here previously and sold it. Doing a bit more in the consultancy space, have actually been floating around Fire Up coaching for quite some time. And interested in formalising a business coaching qualification. But yeah, just sort of stumbled across Business Women Australia and thought, I might jump on and learn a bit about it.
Excellent. Well, it's lovely to have you here, Jana. And Sonia Sweeney, you look like you've got a corporate background that you're hiding something from me.
Yeah, the mess behind me.
I love it.
Morning, everybody. I'm also in Perth. I've been a BWA member for a few years in different levels of engagement, I guess. I came out of a full-time role in January and I'm just in the process of, I think Lynn, you put it all really well the other day. Am I looking for a job or am I business building? And I'm just trying to get my head around what my next step will be, because I guess I've got great options both ways. So yeah, interested in the coaching space has always been something that's interested me. So really looking forward to hearing what everyone's got to say today. Julie, my sister lives in Collie. She's got a boutique on the main strip in town, and they've just opened a coffee shop as well. So by all means, go and pop there. Yes.
No, Greta, well.
Excellent.
I don't know.
Small world. So yeah, so that's me. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's good to see you, Sonia. I've been missing you. Okay, we've got lovely Jay Anderson too here online. Fantastic.
Good morning. How are you going?
Yeah, good.
So I am actually in Collie today as well, but normally I work in Bunbury. So I'm from the Southwest Wellbeing Centre. I've got a background in psychology and counselling, and I utilise coaching techniques in a wellbeing framework. And yes, I'm a BWA member for a few years as well. Thanks.
Yeah, and a wonderful presenter. Jay's done some great topics around mindset and around wellbeing. So thank you, Jay. We always love your topics. We should get you to be doing webinars so I can hear them and slow them down and listen to them. Adele, welcome.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Adele and I'm from living in Perth. I've lived all around Australia, including Kalgoorlie, Albany, Melbourne, and all around the world, France and Scotland. So I've come back to Perth to settle and to take a new direction. In July, I'm launching my second business. So I've previously run a project management consultancy business where I did some business coaching, and that was in Kalgoorlie. And now I'm launching a personal wardrobe styling business. Really, it will be an avenue to a platform to get back into business for myself, which is ultimately what I want to do. I'm also a project manager at Telethon Kids Institute. So I've gone part-time to establish the business, and included in the business is interview prep and mentoring. So an extension of that will be business coaching. So I sort of see the business developing over the next couple of years into business coaching. And it's really important to me to have a good network around me. So Business Women Australia is, I'm very curious to see what they do, and it's been lovely to hear so far what is on offer. So that's why I'm here today, to learn some more about Business Women Australia and also about the business coaching that might be available.
Fantastic. I'm so glad you found us, Adele. That's beautiful. And Kimberly, have we got you online? Yes, we have.
Hi, everyone. Yep, I'm Kimberly, and perhaps a bit of a different background, similar to Johanna. I just stumbled across BWA end of last week, I think, and saw this event. And I've got an OT background, and I've worked in a number of leadership management positions across Medibank, and I'm in a position I'm perhaps not too passionate about, so I'm keen to explore other avenues to look into kind of mentoring and coaching, and also develop networks within Western Australia, so also based in Perth. And I find it quite hard as a kind of younger leader to find those connections in the business leadership management realm. So it all looks really good. I'm just keen to explore kind of what next steps might look like for me. So thanks for having me, and good to meet you all.
Glad you found us too. Welcome. Okay, so without further ado, I think I've covered everyone. Let me just double check. And other than our keynote speakers, yeah, awesome. I've done that job well. Okay. So what I'm very excited about is obviously really diving deep into what this accredited coaching course is going to look like. So to have Australia's leading RTO in this space, partnering with Business Women Australia is such a coup. So I'm very proud of this. Kathy's actually the CEO of FireUp. She's an accredited coach. She's a leading coach trainer, keynote speaker, and a passionate entrepreneur, which you'll definitely get that from the way that she is. She's so dynamic and her enthusiasm is infectious. She's also the Regional Development Manager for the Sunshine Coast International Coaching Federation, that's ICF. For those of you who know anything about the world of coaching, ICF is a globally recognised and sort of a benchmark in coaching. And FireUp achieved registered training organisation status in 2011. So they've been doing this for quite some time, which means they've actually survived so many audits. It's such a heavily audited space.
Indeed.
They are the only accredited Australian pathway to an international coaching accreditation. It's a massive coup for them. And if you're interested in an interview that Anne-Marie Cross, our podcast queen, has recently done, then in the Eventbrite link under Kathy's bio is the link to that podcast. It's well worth listening to get a real idea of Kathy and the kind of woman she is. She's, for those of you who are aspiring leaders, and I'm one of those, I just am so inspired by Kathy. She's amazing. She's a very courageous businesswoman. And of course, we've got the wonderful Deidre Dattoli. Deidre, I've just learned that she had a background for many years, I think 10 or over 10 years as in learning and development head at L'Oreal. So I was a bit worried that I was going to blow dry my hair. And then when I saw how glamorous she was, I was like, oh dear, I should have done that this morning. But not only that, is she a glamours on, she's an executive trainer. She's a keynote speaker. But the thing that I love about her bio is it's all about the passion she has for helping people. So her expertise lies in helping individuals and leadership teams to understand, access, and leverage their authentic selves in order to realise their full potential. So it's obviously not a problem. I haven't done my hair properly today. But I love this. It's not just their full potential in work, but spiritually, emotionally, and visually. So I think Adele has got a big smile on her face there, because I think that's really appealing to her too, because it's really tying that whole how we feel, how we look, how we are, and all about, you know, the deeper part of what it is that we bring to the table. And this is what I love about working with women, is that we really are pulling up that important aspect around our spiritual and our deeper selves. And with Deidre, she does a lot of work with FireUp as well. She's one of the FireUp trainers. So I'll be really pulling in some great questions there. I'm going to get rid of this screen sharing so that I can see everyone's lovely faces. And I'm going to throw my first question to you, Kathy. I mean, what is a certified business coach? I mean, what does that actually mean?
Look, I think, and firstly, Lynn, thank you for that very lovely introduction. It's a little bit humbling. And I must admit, when I heard Kimberly saying about being a younger leader, Kimberly, Katie and I met when we were both in our 20s and Flight Centres just started. And we're still working together today. And yeah, like, it's just wonderful to meet people who inspire you. And Katie's being very humble. She was an absolute leader in Flight Centres in their early days. So she's being, and likewise, Dee, I can't thank enough for what she's done for us over the last 12 months. And Kylie, who's not here, but you know, the trainers that we've got have been outstanding to get us to where we are. So in terms of certifications, you know, it used to be quite challenging for me when we first got our accreditations and RTO, because people would say, well, why, you know, I can do it with another company. Why are you more expensive? All of those sorts of questions you get. And at that stage, because I did a lot of my study in Canada and America, I had come back from there all excited in like 2002 from my training, thinking, yes, it's going to hit Australia soon. And I was a little bit ahead of the bell curve. And certifications probably weren't that relevant maybe 15 years ago. They're absolutely essential now. And one of the things that I realised was that I came back predominantly training in NLP. So I was with Flight Centres as their training manager in Canada, and then switched over and started studying full-time for 2 years. And in that, I actually did my counselling qualification. And one of the things about counselling that I found was that I wasn't helping people to progress sometimes. We were certainly helping them to feel better in the moment, but what I love about coaching is that it's like, where am I now and where do I want to be, and what are some really practical ways to get there? And with the certification, I realized that I had done years and years of NLP. And when Marilyn, the lady who trained me at Ericsson International in Canada, suggested that I needed to do more training to be a coach, I was like, but I'm a nurse, I've done all this counseling. And she said, but coach specific training is different. And I think that's the big confusion in the marketplace, is that lots of people have done psychology, and we get lots of psychologists, therapists. Because of my nursing background, we get a lot of allied health doctors, nurses doing the course, and there's lots of people who come in and say, "Oh, look, I just need the certification," and by the end of it, go, "Oh my God, I can't believe that I was going to call myself a coach and I didn't have all the knowledge that I've just gained," and particularly because there's different levels. We are the only one that's got the current ICF competencies written into our units. And by that, I mean, we've got a certificate 4 in business and personal coaching. And for those of you, and I promise I'm not going to bore you to death with the Australian Qualifications Framework for the next 20 minutes, but in terms of becoming an Australian qualification, it is a very rigorous process to become a registered training organisation. And, I've watched over the years, and I sort of take a gasp when I see someone coming in and they've got fabulous marketing and they're going to train coaches to be the biggest, baddest, brightest, but then realise that they're actually not aligned to the International Coach Federation core competencies. So a certification is essential, and it doesn't necessarily... If you're working, and this is probably the distinction to make, we get a lot of in-house programs where we run our certificate 4 in business personal coaching for organisations, and they're actually they're going to be in-house coaches or they're leaders who need to have coaching skills in their organisations. However, they still need a certification, and that Cert 4 gets to a certain level, and that Cert 4 has been written to align to the 8 International Coach Federation core competencies. And there used to be 11 core competencies, and it only got updated at the end of 2019. I went to the Prague conference, and that was perfect timing for us because we were just reaccrediting our Cert 4. So it meant that the timing was just wonderful because there's a lot of rigor in reaccrediting things and having courses stay current. And so the certification, you can either get the Australian qualification, or that then allows you, that satisfies the criteria for International Coach Federation accreditation as well. So we've got, we're an Australian registered training organisation, but we're also accredited at the highest level with the International Coach Federation, which is an accredited coach training program. And for new players in the market, it's very confusing. And in that there are also programs that are what you call accredited coach specific training hours. So that's an accredited coach, ACSTH. And those programs have been designated by the ICF as contributing to coaching practice, but you have to go through a different route to get your ICF accreditation. The fastest way and the highest level of accreditation is the way that we have. And now by fast, I don't mean that we rush it through, but it means that you don't have to get letters of recommendation from clients and all sorts of portfolios. The big trap is that if you go down the portfolio route to get ICF accreditation, you have to have 10 hours of mentor coaching with an ICF recognised mentor coach. Now that will generally cost you between $400 and $500 an hour. So people think they're doing a cheaper program and then get hit with realising that they've got to pay $5,000 for their mentoring on top of it. So we include all that in the certification so that people's certification is aligned to the 7 units that are the Australian units of competency, but they're also aligned to the 8 units that are the ICF units of competency, core competencies. And then we get a lot of people in Australia who then want to go on and do the diploma, which is the next level up. And the certificate in business and personal coaching is actually nested in the diploma. So you can actually sign up to the Cert 4, do that, and then go, wow. And this is what often happens. We get groups who are having so much fun together that they go, oh, let's all do the diploma, which is really great for us because it means people stay together for another 6 months, but upgrade to the diploma. And that happens on a regular basis. We've actually just had that happen with the recent online program. So that's hopefully that covers that, Lynn, a little bit, because it is quite a complex area. And in terms of certification requirements, particularly there's a few of you that are dabbling around the health area. For all the tenders over the last, and actually we missed out on the WA one because I'm Queensland based. I should have known Lynn 6 months ago. But in WA, when they put out their $2.5 million contract for coaching within WA Health, it required ICF accreditation. And so there was a lot of WA businesses scrambling to collaborate with organisations that were ICF accredited. But it shows you the way that the marketplace is going is that governments can benchmark it. And Australia is one of the only places where in 2011, there was actually Standards Australia did do a standard related to coaching in Australia. So we're one of the only countries that has that as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different types of coaches, aren't there? I mean, you've got, coaches that are in the wellbeing and health space, coaches that are in business, coaches across every different sector that you could imagine, in peak performance, in life coaching. So, not all of them are accredited. Some of them are, you can hang up your shingle as a coach. It's fairly unregulated, isn't it?
It is at the moment, Lynn, but I think because particularly with last year, seeing wellbeing come to the forefront of businesses, and lots of people and people are well-intentioned. It's what you don't know, you don't know. They'll do a weekend course or something and think that they've got enough basis to start helping people. And coaching is actually about partnering with people. It's not about telling people what to do. It's about partnering. And that's why there's a foundational training that you need. And then you can niche into all of those other areas. And I know particularly with coming from a health background, it takes a lot to shift from that telling kind of approach to really partnering with someone, getting your ego out of the way and allowing them to come up with their own solutions, which is what is at the premise of coaching, is to allow people to find their own solutions, which is why allied health, medicine, nursing, all in the health industry, it is exploding because, we all know that you go to the doctors, they tell you what to do and you go, I should lose 10 kilos or I should, the should. And when you partner with someone, it's a much more powerful way of getting them to actually take the action that they intend and setting clear intentions about the change that they want.
No, I really get that. I think someone called me a business coach recently. I said, no, I'm not a business coach at all. I'm a consultant. I will tell you what to do and what you need to do. And if you don't listen to me, well, you'll suffer. But I'm not here to teach you how to do strategy and marketing. I'm not a coach. I'll come in and tell you what to do. And if you want to engage us to do it, we'll implement it for you. So very different. And the difference between the consultant and a coach is very, very different.
Absolutely.
So, Deidre, you chose to go down that pathway. I'm very interested to hear why you had a learning and development background anyway. So why then go and become, an executive coach?
I had 17 years corporate career at L'Oreal, and what happened was I had to have a background in hairdressing. So I was a business owner for some period of time, and then I started my corporate career at L'Oreal. And during that time was when the GFC hit, when I was at L'Oreal, and we had a culture that was based on fun and excitement and creativity, and lots of learning and investing in our people. And what happened was very, very quickly our culture changed from
fun-loving, exciting, creative, to a culture of fear. And for the very first time in my career, I actually didn't enjoy coming to work. And I thought, well, what can I do about this? It's like, and that's part of coaching as well, as taking responsibility for our own actions, because I knew that the organisation wasn't going to invest in people anymore, and I didn't like, not enjoying my work. And I had a very good friend of mine, Terry Lynn, that was working for us at L'Oreal, and she actually introduced me to Kath. And it was back in 2000, I think it was 2001. And I became very, very interested in my own personal development and in my own self-leadership. And it was that ability to step in and go, okay, well, what is it that I can actually do to take responsibility of this, and really support my team throughout the challenges that not only was I experiencing, but they were experiencing as well. And then so that's when I started to study NLP with Kath. So on my weekends I would go off and learn, and then I'd come back into the organisation and into my workplace and put a lot of the practices into place, and really saw the impact of what I was learning. And fast forward probably after that time, 10-11 years of constantly learning and going off and doing lots of other study and lots of other modalities as well. I had 2 children, and really got to that point of burnout, rock bottom. And I had a situation at work that just, again, I hadn't been in that space for a long time, and just thought, I'm actually not doing what I love. And what I love is supporting people to really step into their potential. And I believe that I have a superpower where I'm actually able to see people's real inner greatness and support them to bring that to life. And so that was when I decided that I would step out of my corporate career and step into the worlds of coaching. So that's when I went then and did my certification with Kath and got my coaching certification. And then along the way, I've done so many other things. I've done Riki, I've done EFT, I've done meditation, mindfulness. I was a stylist as well, which, was part of a lot of the inner and outer work. I always believe that we work on our inner, but it's reflected in our outer world. And from there, it just kind of has evolved, and now I have the opportunity to go back and and teach what I love doing. So every day I get to be the best version of myself and live what I what I experience and what I share with people.
So is it a viable financial sort of pathway to become a coach?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I suppose for me, because I'm a mum, and especially since we've had COVID, it's opened up so many more opportunities, which I was wanting to do more work online as well. But I think what this has done, it's fast forwarded it, and it's given us the ability to be able to do that. So I think absolutely it's viable. And it's about, getting clear about, well, what is your, I suppose your superpower, or what is it that you're able to focus on and really create a niche around that. And, like Kath said, it's getting those foundations of what coaching is really about. And it's really about helping, smart, creative, resourceful people really uncover what's getting in the way for them of moving forward and achieving what it is that they want to achieve.
Did you find that it was difficult at the beginning to work out who were the best kind of clients to coach, or, you know, did you ever come across sort of, you know, prospective clients that you were like, well, we're not getting anywhere? Did you sort of now get an idea of, you know, who your ideal client could be?
Yeah, Lynn, that's a good question, because I think it evolves. And I always say to our students as well, just start somewhere, you know, just start. Don't worry about having the perfect business, and don't worry about, you know, having everything in place. Just start. Just look at, well, what is it that really lights you up? And just start. And my biggest piece of advice has always been that, because what I found is by getting out there and coaching is where you actually learn more. You actually get a sense of who your clients are, because they're the ones that tell you what their challenges are, you know, what they're struggling with. And it gives you the opportunity to hone your coaching skills, versus sitting in your, you know, in your office behind a screen trying to, you know, write things and develop things. It's, yeah, you know, through the trial, through doing, is where we actually get the clarity from. And it evolves. You know, you don't have to stay where you've started. Like, you know, I've evolved, because as your coaching evolves, you evolve as well.
So you see, you know, on Facebook, you know, being in a Business Women Australia role, you know, I get hit up by all these sponsored ads all the time, you know, become a coach and make us 6 million, you know, like six number income. Oh no, make it a 7 number income if you come to this seminar. And it's like, women are getting bombarded with marketing to become $1 million a year coaches. I mean, Kathy, you're laughing. Tell me, what the heck is going on out there?
Well, I'm laughing because I actually had someone, it wasn't last year, it was the year before, like from one of the big companies that gets people on stage. And he basically said, look, I'm only meeting with you because the things that are going to boom next year as keynote speakers is coaching, but they want women. And it was kind of like really that patronizing, you know, like, I'd rather you were bloke, but, you know, the fact is, and I had it yesterday. I had someone ring me yesterday and say, oh, look, you know, from a marketing company about Google Analytics. And there are companies, the companies that are popping up everywhere obviously spend a lot of money on Google Analytics. And this guy was shocked when I said, oh, actually, I'm in the Kimberleys and my team have got it all under control, so that's fine. I'm good. And he said, are you the owner? And he asked me 3 times, and I said, yes, I'm the owner. And he goes, and you're not going to be back until July, and you're trusting that, you know. So it's kind of that, you know, that thing about being a woman in business. You know, I don't know, he was acting very surprised, but in relation,
jealous. He couldn't take time out from his work.
in relation to the money side of things, I think the good thing about having been in business for over 20 years now is I watch those shiny silver, you know, that they're here, and you as a company you might think, oh my God, they're better than me. And like, the number one thing to never do is compare yourself to, you know, we all know who knows someone whose relationship looked amazing on Facebook, and then the next thing you know, it's not. So
yeah, that was mine 5 years ago, but it's still good now. It's okay, we got over that. Okay,
you made it. So, but you know, people have these facades, and look, I think Eastern Health did me one of the biggest favours about 10 years ago. We won a tender, but in the tender you were not allowed to put any pricing. So I went along with Julie, who was my compliance manager at the time, and I said, oh, they're going to make us coach for $200 an hour. I know it. Anyway, so we're sitting there and we're all suited up, and the HR manager sat down and she said, now, this is non-negotiable. We've benchmarked everywhere and we'll pay $450 an hour, and that's it. And Julie and I were like, and we're just like, oh, okay, I guess we can live with that. But for me, I was just about, you know, delirious. And Julie and I were like, thank God they didn't let us put pricing in. We would have shot ourselves in the foot by about $150 an hour. And that was my biggest lesson was, and I think definitely it's changing. That was 10 years ago, and there was a lot of overcharging in the coaching space in terms of, particularly for big projects like that. Like, as someone who knows how precious those health budgets are, I don't want to suck the life out of the health budget so that they don't have, you know, I actually advise a lot of the clients I work with now to train in-house coaches so that they can actually make coaching a reality for all their staff, because I really do believe that it needs to be part of the corporate culture, that everyone needs to have that. And yes, if you are, like, I'm very fortunate that I can charge a lot for coaching in terms of, you know, a project if I'm in, you know, but what's a lot? It's all relative. If you're in finance, like some of the graduates I've got, I had a gig with the ANZ Bank when I first started training, and those guys have all gone out of the ANZ breakout team, and they charge anything between $15,000 and $20,000 for a 6-month coaching engagement with banking executives, because they know that the decisions that they make, or the executives that they're working with, a decision can cost millions. So they're very comfortable. They think 20 grand's nothing. So it's all relative to the space that you're working in, and it's all relative to your own beliefs about self. You know, what I find, and what's great about this partnership, Lynn, is that the hardest thing for most people, or most business women who are transitioning from a corporate environment into marketing themselves, is selling themselves and actually, you know, appreciating the worth that they bring into a coaching partnership. And that's why something like this is great, because if you're in a collaboration, it's easy to say, it's easy for me to say, you know, someone else is amazing, whereas it's much more difficult to say, hey, I'm the coolest coach on the block. And I think that's why having credentials is so important. It's pretty easy if you're a professional certified coach, or I've just applied for a master coaching certification, which shows I've done over 3,000 hours of coaching and a certain amount of continual coach training. It gives people confidence that if they are paying $1,000 a month for a coach, that you've got the runs on the board and that you're credible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of these mindset things with women in particular, is charging what they're worth. And we've done a few sessions on that. And I just think it's one of those ones that we'll just have to keep rolling continuously around. I was having a one-on-one with a new member from Sydney, and she was very excited that, you know, having had her corporate career and what she brings to the table, she was charging $75 an hour. And I said to her, you know, you're way undercharging, you know, as a consultant. And she was going, I've just got comfortable with charging $75 an hour, and you're telling me I'm undercharging? And I was going, yep. I said, what would happen if you charged, do you think they'd still want you if you charged $120 an hour? She goes, maybe. I said, what about if you charge $150 an hour? Do you think you're going to bring them the outcomes they're looking for? She's going, yeah, okay, I get that. I get where you're coming from. She goes, and I said, it's like, you know, we often, especially when we're starting out, because she's just starting out a new business. So I said, it's very hard to increase your rates. You might say to people, look, I'm starting out, my actual rates are, I don't know, $400 an hour. And you might say, because I'm actually starting out and you're one of my ideal clients, I'm happy to discount that for you, but I need a testimonial. I want this, I want that, I want, you know, I said, just apply the principles of marketing to yourself. And she was like, yeah, okay, that's really important. So this is a part of the conversations that we have to have as women in supporting each other and going out and championing each other and say, don't sell what you're bringing to the table short. It might be your first time consulting, but you've been working for however many years in these kind of roles. You're bringing all that experience and what you know to the table. But I love this, because I think, you know, what you've highlighted there then too is the power of collaboration. So one of the things around the time that we were talking was, and just starting to talk about the Fire Up Businesswomen Australia collaboration, I'd had a call from one of our Queensland-based consultants who had got a consortium together to pitch for a major government project in New South Wales. And there were 3 amazing women. And I know for a fact that those 3 women could have delivered it, but because they all looked like they were from different brands, it wasn't under, say, a Businesswomen Australia brand going into pitch. They said that they the feedback was that they missed out because it was a sort of strange conglomeration of brands, that it wasn't one brand to deal with. So these are the sorts of things I would love. You know, the vision is, I think, out of this collaboration, that our accredited coaches can then actually join together and pitch as a part of a Fire Up BWA thing. And they'd also have a sounding board in the background in terms of our executive support that we can give them, you know, if there are things that come up, because quite often when you're delivering on a major proposal in a corporate or a government industry environment, things come up and you sometimes need to pull in some different expertise, or you need to have someone that can go and talk to the CEO about creating a pathway where there's a block or whatever it might be that can pop up. So I'd like to see women winning this kind of work. I'm seeing a lot of organisations that are predominantly don't have that diversity and inclusion in them that you'd like for them to have at winning work. And I just think that women, this is a part of how we can get at the table and really make things happen. So what about, so why, Kathy, while I've got you, why would someone choose this particular pathway? I mean, you've covered on it, but what's actually in the content that's really exciting about this particular course?
Look, I think one of the things, because because I'm passionate about learning, I've been developing this for a long time. However, it is evidence-based but it's unique intellectual property. And the beauty is that with everything going online, even if we deliver face-to-face, people still have access to that amazing online portal that's got 20 years of resources. And the Fire Up actually is an acronym that's a program. So it's actually a program that people can use, and it stands for Focus, Intention, Results, Evaluate, Upgrade and Perform. And we really encourage people, if they want to take, once they've got their accreditation, if they want to actually take that and do a Fire Up program within their organisation, that they can use that. And then we have our coaching conversation model, and this was developed with Queensland Health, because after, and I'm dating myself now, but after the whole Bundaberg tragedy where there was the doctor death scandal, I was engaged with the people and culture team, and there was a whole new workplace learning division set up in Queensland Health. And we were looking at the GROW model and going, it's just not quite sophisticated enough for what we're dealing with here. And that was, and we also looked at the fact that when you when you understand brain dominance, and part of our course is using the whole brain thinking model, but we particularly use the Herman brain dominance instrument. And when you look at the whole brain model, when you've got very left brain, say doctors or surgeons who are taught a coaching model, but not taught to have, they'll just go straight into goal setting if there's not that emphasis on slow down, build rapport. And so we have a reach model that I developed with Queensland Health, and of course, being Queensland Health, they were like, oh, we don't want anything involved with IP and anything. So I've been able to use that. But we rolled that out to nearly 9,000 leaders in Queensland Health over, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, and they still use it in a lot of areas. And it stands for rapport, explore, action, clarify, and honour. And the clarify and the honour are probably the things that distinguish it from any other coaching conversation models, in that values-based conversations require you to have a level of skill that's higher than just skating on the surface. You have to be able to read that body language when someone has that throwaway line of, oh, everything's all right. Oh, they say something, it's just kind of like a joke, but you actually can pick up on it and realise that that's the essence of where the conversation needs to go. And the honour part is about that whole unconditional positive regard piece. And I think, Lynn, you hit on it when you said about women not, by Adele, when women don't necessarily understand their worth. And so the honour at the end means that every person should leave your coaching conversation feeling validated. And quite often I'll have emails years later coming to me saying, you believed in me. And just what Dee was saying, that she, her superpower is to see people's inner potential, is that, when you work with people for long enough and they get that little win, and then all of a sudden they have that sense of success, and they're able to build on that. And because the because we've got the infrastructure and we've got 20 years of knowing that, you know, people cover something in the training, they don't remember it. So now everything's on video, which that is the gift from COVID. I didn't have that. I've had 20 years of stuff in my head, but the beauty is now that it's all being captured all the time, and people can go back and review it and apply it to themselves. And I think in terms of, particularly in COVID, when our alumni was happening, it was predominantly women showing up. And when we had our conversation, then I was like, you know, women thrive on this kind of alumni community collaboration. And I think for us to create a BWA branded coach that is not only the best qualified in Australia, but also the best supported in terms of, if someone does go, oh, you know, I just got a call, you know, from an old client, what should I charge? And my answer is always, you know, to charge what you're worth in terms of, you know, I had someone in the current group ring me and say she had a quote that she had to put in, and I said, well, it'll be $450 plus GST. And she was like, oh, I can't charge that. And I said, if you don't charge that, they will go with the higher bidder because they will think that they're a better coach. And that happens on a regular basis. So it's, you know, it's about not being the most expensive, but actually knowing what your worth is.
That's absolutely right. And the other thing too is that the cohort that goes through will be able to be connected and continue to do things, you know, as a part of a community hub as well. So I just love this, you know, I've got all these great ideas about how, you know, our whole coaching community can become and how it'll grow. I mean, it'll take a few years for it to become a real groundswell, but it'll, you know, these first ones that come through will be our foundation coaches. So that'll be pretty exciting too. So what, maybe... Oh.
Lynn, can I just say there, I think you'll be surprised. I think the groundswell will be much faster than you think, because I'm looking at the growth over the last year, and I've been in this industry for a long time. And because psychologists are getting maxed out, people are turning to life coaching, they're turning to health and wellbeing coaches, they're turning to someone that they can partner with. And as people get results in those areas, it will accelerate the amount of people who go into coaching.
Well, the other side of it too, of course, you know, coming from a background in professional services, I would love to see, you know, anyone of our professional staff, whether they're accountants or lawyers or engineers, when they get to that supervisory and management level, that they actually get access to their companies sponsoring them to do this kind of thing, because so much around the success of their teams has really got to do with the ability of the manager to actually coach. You know, there's I think, and particularly as the young generation, the next generation that's coming through, they're very different. You know, I guess I came from the world where, you know, the parenting style was very much, you know, you did what you were told. Whereas this new, I look at my own children and the young professionals coming through from university and through the trades, and they want to collaborate. They want to understand why. They want to be a part of the solution. They want to really understand. Otherwise, they move on. You know, and the churn rate is costing organisations a massive amount of money. And you know, as we know, leadership comes from anywhere. It's not a title. And what we often do is we lose our leaders because we haven't had the chance to really connect with them in a way that's deeper. And I think the coaching pathways actually enables managers to understand and really be able to identify where the real, as I think Deidre said, the superpowers of their team members are. You know, these coaching skills, you know, the more I look into it, the more I'm going, oh wow, I can't wait to be studying my coaching certificate.
I think
I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to love it.
I think following on from that, Lynn, the power is in developing your presence as a coach, so that you're able to really hold space for these people, to support them in uncovering, you know, their brilliance and helping them understand more about who they are and what it is that they want to achieve as well. So it's very much about developing your own.
It's harder said than done, isn't it? It's such a learned thing to stop and not fill that gap or that quietness with an answer. I mean, I know as a parent, you know, I've been doing Vita Carlino's women's circles, which are about holding space and not coming up with an answer for each other, just listening and then moving on to the next person who's listening. So no one actually solves anyone's problems. So it's quite unusual for a consultant to go into an environment like that. But I tell you what, I have become so much of a better parent by learning to shut the heck up. And I took my daughter to one of those circles, and on the way home, she said to me, "That's the first time I've ever felt like I've been truly listened to." And I was like, God, head smack on the steering wheel. Like, what kind of parent? Like, she's in her 20s and she's telling me that. Like, it's a really great skill for everyone to have in their lives when they've got these kind of roles. And what kind of advice would you give, Deidre, to new coaches that are out there to be, how do they, you know, what are the things that you've found that have really helped you build it as a successful business?
I always have a saying, and Kath knows this one because I said it to her actually a couple of weeks ago, but, you know, what I always say, we can't become ourselves by ourselves. And that's been a really big thing for me, is having those support people around me and those networks to you know, to bounce ideas off and just to ring up and go, oh, I've got to do this proposal, and, you know, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think? And having that person as your real cheerleader on the, you know, on the end of the line, cheerleading you on and going, yeah, you know, come on, you can do this, and talking through what it is. So I believe that, you know, that's been really pivotal for me, is having people around me to support me. And
do coaches need coaches themselves? I mean, is it good to have a coach of your own?
I believe that, absolutely, because I think, and you know, Kath will word this correctly, but I even found the more that I evolve, the more evolved my coaching is. So you can only, you know, kind of coach to the level that you're evolved. And if I think of where I was even 2 years ago before we went through COVID as a coach, and where I am now, there's, you know, there is quite a bit of contrast. And the way that I've been able to get to that space of really supporting people to sit with discomfort, because that's what it takes. And you've got to sit opposite somebody when they're going through their discomfort, and just be space or be silence and be there for them, not respond, not react, and just be there. So if you're not doing your own inner work and your own development, you can't do that. And, you know, to really be able to get to the depths is going, you know, as I talk about, going vertical, you know, coaching, not kind of just horizontal. So yeah, so you've got to be able to do your own deep work to support clients on their.
Have you had a situation where it's you've almost been overwhelmed, like you've thought, oh wow, this is getting too deep, or, you know, maybe this person needs sort of medical help, or, you know?
No, I haven't, but I have had clients that have been seeing a psychologist or psychiatrist, and they've been having coaching as well, because they can complement each other very, very nicely. Because, you know, I find that coaching really can build clarity and confidence for people around what it is that they want to achieve. So by, you know, supporting them and coaching them, it's about not giving them advice, but really being presence with them to understand, well, you know, what is it that you really want? And, you know, helping them build clarity and confidence and self-belief that, you know, that they can achieve what it is that they want through that.
So is it taxing? Do you find that after, you know, doing some coaching sessions, you're exhausted, or is it exhilarating? I mean, how do you sort of fill your own tank so you can keep doing it?
Yeah, I do a lot of energy work, and I'm a meditator. So I have my certain non-negotiables. in place, because we need to be able to show up and be presence for clients. So before, like if I think back to probably 2-3 years ago, because I didn't have, and I wasn't as clear on what my non-negotiables were, and I wasn't doing the work myself, sometimes it would be exhausting. Whereas now, I actually find that it energizes me.
And that's a part of your evolution, as you're saying, as a coach. I guess, when people have learned something new, they're so excited to get out there and get some clients and do all this stuff. And then it becomes almost, you go through this cycle of your own business, I guess, in any business, where it takes over every thinking minute, an hour, and it's almost like you're running on the enthusiasm and adrenaline that it can burn you out.
Yeah. And can I add to that, Lynn, too? Because I think Julie mentioned about Julie's question in the chat box there was around mentoring and the difference between mentoring and coaching. And there's very clear distinctions in the training about when you coach, when you mentor, when you refer someone to counselling, the difference between training and consulting. And so we're very clear on all those distinctions. It's probably one of the number one things that people say after they've started the training is, wow, I thought I was a coach, but I've been mentoring. But as part of getting higher level accreditation, you do get mentored. So we listen to people's coaching sessions and we'll say, okay, just go back and listen to that question you asked there. Did you notice what the response was? So we have a mentoring a coach. So there's two things. I will get mentoring around my coaching. I will get coaching around my business, if that makes sense. So so and particularly it's interesting, like last year I employed, and I've always been either in the executive connection, or my BNI was where I started, like Business Networking International, but I see BWA will be able to hold that space for our group in the future, in terms of being able to provide the distinctions between, okay, if you're going to get your ICF credential, you need mentor coaching, so that's mentoring around your coaching. If you're wanting coaching, that might be around a personal issue, it might be around a professional issue that you've had with the client. So it's just about being very clear around, what is this session? Is it mentor coaching or is it coaching? And I engaged last year at great expense a guy who said he was a coach, and I ended it after 2 sessions because he was just lecturing me. He did not listen to me at all. I was wanting to get some support in terms of how to grow the business during COVID. And what I ended up doing was, what really worked was collaborating with my team, bringing them all on full time. And that's what was actually the best thing. So that's the distinction there. And sorry, Lynn, I'm conscious on you.
Yeah, we've got till past, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
So Jana's just asked a question. She's gone through NLP prac level and noticed that lots of people call themselves coaches coming from this field. Is that true in the sense, or could an NLP prac or master or similar be recognised with ICF as a coach?
Oh, it's a hot potato at the moment, Yana. It's actually because I actually was an NLP master trainer, and it is different, because as an NLP practitioner, you gather information and then you decide what intervention to use. Whereas, and so we do use some NLP interventions. And for those of you who don't know what NLP is, it's neuro-linguistic programming. But coaching is actually around, what I find, and because I do have a lot of NLP coaches who I have rigorous conversations with around, there's no auditing body for NLP practitioners. Some of them are still training the same stuff I learned in 1995 and 96. There is so much new neuroscience. So we've actually got a new brand that I just launched in Melbourne a few weeks ago called Neuro Coaching, because I wanted to get away from the NLP, because NLP is directive. NLP is around, I decide as a practitioner. I mean, listen to the language: NLP practitioner, master practitioner. Like, I don't even like the term master coach because it does imply hierarchies. And what we want to do as coaches is get to that true partnership, get rid of ego. And I have incorporated so many NLP coaches who supposedly are meant to be experts in rapport and have not even got basic listening skills. So I think, you know, there's some, and I'm not discrediting it because I was an NLP trainer for 10 years. However, that does not make you a coach. It's not aligned to any competencies.
I love the fact we're dealing with the hot potatoes today, because it is a bit of a hot potato, that one. It is. It
is. But you know what? I can stand up because I'm an NLP master practitioner. I've done it all. Like, I've done every level. I studied NLP for 2 years in Canada with the lady who trained Anthony Robbins. So I can very strongly say that there's some awesome marketers in NLP. But also, if you notice, I went to, and I won't say his name, but they are incredible at the influence of, you know, the way that you run an NLP conference where you sign people up to another more expensive conference is to make everyone in the room feel like they are less than you are up on stage. So it's all about, you know, if you want to be like me, you're going to need to spend this much more. It's you know, it's great sales and marketing techniques, but it's
really not great sales and marketing techniques, because it's not customer focused. And I've been unraveling for women who get caught up in that whole. There's a lot of business coaches that are out using the same model. And I end up getting calls from women that I've never even met, say, can you help me? I've signed up for something because I felt pressured on the day. You know, morning tea, we're all looking at each other going, no, I'm not signing up. I'm not signing up. By the end of the day, we've all signed up to something because we didn't want to feel like we were lesser because we wanted to run it by our husbands, and it's going to cost us $16,000 to get into the next stage. And we've already spent $4,000 on this day. Now I'm going, you know what? I think it's absolutely disgusting. And, you know, it's then the cooling off period, I think that they are putting pressure. I think it's actually illegal. And I think that people are too scared and too ashamed to admit that they've been caught up with signing for something. And, you know, then I've some of them that have gone through these programs, and I've said, okay, I'm having a one-on-one as a new member, and I'm saying, okay, so you've just done this business program with these business coaches based on the NLP stuff. Where's your business plan? And they haven't even got a business plan after working and spending, some of them, $25,000 over 6-7 months. Just makes me very cross. So,
and I think it's where there is a really good opportunity for us to make sure that people actually understand what good coaching is, how they can set up a business. And the big thing about the ICF is that it's got an ICF code of ethics. So you can very credibly say, I adhere to the ICF ethics. And that in itself gives people, if people want to check what they are, they can go out and have a look at the ethics. And, you know, as a business coach, you know, with an accounting background, Jana, as you've got, you know, you understand, you know, the importance of ethical practice. And so that's, I think, one of the things in this partnership that we really want to stress is the importance of having well-credentialed, ethical coaches who are acting out of that integrity space.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's such an important area, and I think similar to the coaching profession, marketing is unregulated, and so we have a lot of business strategy and marketing people that, you know, are out there and combining them both. It's like it's like a rapid fire that's streaming through the women's and the vulnerable women's market. So I think we've covered most of the questions that I've had on here. I think that we might be able to, if there's any more questions. I think Jana's just saying her vision is to be in the space in business, so essentially business coach, but having come through accounting, financial and advisory, very aware of the do's and absolutely, highly compliant, Jana, and I get that too. And I love it. Part of the reason why I actually enjoy working with accountants and lawyers and engineers is that they, you know, they have such strong there's around it that you know, finding the pathways in terms of how we then position their advisory and their skills is, you know, really quite a great way to do things. It's very, you know, truly professional and ethical. So what have we got here?
Julie has a question.
What about advice that, Kathy, have you got any advice that you would give that you've seen of the very successful coaches that have gone out and established really profitable and scalable businesses? I mean, in terms of scalable, that's a tricky one because you are a coach and you've only got a certain amount of time you can give. So it's not a business you can necessarily scale, but it's more of a professional practice, isn't it?
I think it's the alliances that you have. And Julie, I'll come back to, actually, Julie had a question as well, so I'll come back to that in a moment. So, but I think one of the most important thing is the alliances that you have and making sure that you are not trying to do it all yourself. As I love that saying, you know, Dee and I were talking about at the conference when I was in Melbourne a few weeks ago that, you know, we can't become ourselves by ourselves. It's finding really good alliances and scaling it with technology. There's no question. Not trying to do all that SEO website stuff by yourself. I see so many people who are not experts in IT wasting so much time and money in those areas when they're better off to do what they are experts in. So, but yeah. So Julie, I'll throw you.
Dee, did you have something you wanted to add to there too?
I can't remember, Lynn. I think I was going to say something before, but I've forgotten now. Sorry.
Okay, well, we can come back to you. Julie Broad, what was your question?
You're on mute, Julie.
Thanks, Lynn. Kathy, last year I went through the Adapt by Design coaching, 4 months training to use their platform and their technology. What I've found is they've recommended, obviously, that we all become accredited coaches in our own right. And so I have been searching, and to be honest, it's been an absolute minefield of information. You know, where does that trust sit for me? Am I getting my bang for my buck? So this is just perfect. And because I trust the BWA brand, this is really why I'm here today, because I want that alignment. I want to know that BWA have put their hat on an organisation, an RTO like yourself or yourselves. So I'm really keen to see, learn more. I'm assuming you'll be sending out some information to get going, because I've already done the training and I've already done an organisational review as part of my accreditation with Adapt by Design, but it's going to take 18 months to be accredited as a resilient business coach with Adapt by Design. I actually want an earlier accreditation than that. So, you know, and so, yeah, I'm very keen to get started. So I'd love any information that you can pass on.
Yeah, and we've sort of taken a long time, but we've hit that happy spot because, you know, if you look at any of the research now, because people are very self-directed as learners these days, you can accelerate the time at which, you know, so some people take 6 months to finish our program, some people take 2 years, depending on what their circumstances are. But really, as long as you show up at the 30 webinars, which is a requirement for the ICF accreditation, there's no reason you can't have it if you started in the June program, that you couldn't be celebrating your accreditation at the end of the year.
So our next intake will be June. There'll be another one later on in the year in, I think, was it?
June and August, was it?
August. Yeah. So June and August. So we'll send that out. We'll have a landing page on our website, which will provide all the information. I think the certificate for in-person business coaching is $13,000. And that also includes a whole lot of other things around it as well. So when you graduate from that, you'll be not only an accredited coach with a Cert 4, but you'll be an accredited Businesswomen Australia coach. We'll do a podcast with you when you're ready sometime over that period. So we'll work with you around that strategy in terms of positioning you. We'll do a webinar based on something that you're passionate about. So if you're a coach perhaps in business, or you're a coach in strategy and marketing, we'd be looking at, well, how, you know, what is going to be your way of positioning and differentiating you that then we can push out through our channels and help you sort of get launched and connecting you to your ideal client, you know, getting you a really deep dive into that. So there'll be lots of inclusions that this partnership is going to have, and anything that you think we should include that we haven't thought of, then tell us, and we'll do our best to include that too. You know, this is your brand. This is Business Women Australia. We all own this brand. It's our brand. We can do what we like with it. But it's a pretty powerful brand because it opens doors. So that's the other thing, is that if you've got an idea of where you want to be using this new knowledge and these skills in the combination of your experience, I'll be saying to you, how do you want us to help you open those doors? Who do you want to be connected to? Who do you want to meet? Who do you want to be dialing into the webinars? Who do you want, if you're going to do a in-person event, who do you want at that event that we can try and help reach? So, and this is what we're all about as a pragmatic collective, is that we're not sitting there working out how Lynn can get more work. I don't need any more work. I want you guys to be super successful in carving out, you know, your success and your impact in helping the world be a better, more productive and wonderful place. So I think we've pretty much come right through. We've done really well with our timing. And if there's any other questions that you want to ask us, Kathy, Dee, me, we're all available. I think I did include on the email out to everyone, I copied in both Dee and Kathy's emails, so you've got access to them as well. Kathy Smith and her team at CatCo are flat out trying to get our landing page up and ready. We've had some changes to some things, and Kathy's actually over in Sydney this week, so it won't be this week, I don't think. I think we'll probably have that all ready to go next week, which I'll send out to everyone then. So thanks everyone for being here. Thank you very much, Kathy McKenzie, all the way from Kununurra. It's great to have you in the state. Are you coming to Perth? Am I going to be able to take you out to dinner?
Not yet. That'll have to be. We'll have to do a BWA lunch launch later in the year.
We'll have to do a road show.
Absolutely. So, and thank you to Katie and Dee.
Thanks, Dee, for your time out. Thanks, Katie, for being here, and for the lovely ladies who have taken the time out to be on board.
So lovely to meet you. Absolutely.
It's great.
Awesome. Okay, great. All right.
Thanks
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.